Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers. We are in this most momentous of Haunted Holidays Part 2. Since we did Haunted Holidays last year, Part 1.
Yeah. Well, it's so good. We had to just keep doing it. So it's way too much fun. And we have been crazy with you guys sending us listener tales and listener questions. So please keep that up. We are just being inundated. We're loving it.
I asked for scary stuff and I got it, but I think it can one up. I needed to one up Traveler, so I need even more terrifying stuff.
You're just poking that bear.
I'm gonna poke the bear with a stick. I got a really funny sign that I'm going to put on my trash closet. We've all talked about my trash closet I created to protect from bears. And it says, please don't pet the fuzzy dogs. And it's pictures of bears.
That's great.
But I am super excited for today.
Yes.
And the reason I'm super excited is because we have somebody here who truly loves Twilight vampires at the same level as I do. And I'm just thrilled to have him back with us.
Hi, Stacy Brown. How are you?
You know me. Just doing my thing.
We'll find a way to beat this.
Oh, yeah. It's a real problem. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
There is a cure out there. Oh, my God.
I will tell you, though, even though he did Twilight, Robert Pattinson is one of my favorite actors.
What was it? I just read something where he was in an interview in the UK. He was doing something in the UK, and somebody came up to him and said, "Oh, you're that Twilight fella. Why haven't you been acting?" And he turned to him and he just said, "I'm Batman."
Yeah, right.
and the guy went, "Oh, you're funny, mate."
Talk about somebody whose autograph I will not get for Twilight will be Robert Pattinson.
Why? Get it for The Lighthouse. You know, like that movie was amazing.
That was incredible. Yes.
Yeah. No, he's been in a lot of them. He's Cedric Diggory. I mean, there's been a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just, I know your favorite, Stacy.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Stacy have Twilight watch parties.
It's not as bad as the Taylor Swift that I get nowadays from my daughters.
Oh goodness, yeah,
they're Swifties, bro. They went down. They went
down. The Swifties probably outnumber everyone else in the world right now. So
I can fight, so I'm good. I don't think that's up there on the Swifties list of things they can do.
Thank God my kids were into Pink. That was cool.
Right.
That was good.
I actually got to see Pink in concert this last month.
You said,
she's amazing. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get, we're going crazy off of this. Thank you, Erica, for taking us down that lovely rabbit hole.
Listen, my little rabbit holes are very short in comparison to the Muncie Bunny Trail. So
that's true. That's true.
Zip it.
All right. Stacy, you've been working on a project for some time, and you're just starting out with this whole new. You're going to be a major filmmaker, I think, coming up, because I'm excited for some of these projects. And now you're filming one of my favorite stories of all time from Florida's Forgotten Coast, the Gulf Coast, the Treasure Coast sometimes. And there's a lot of great spooky tales there. I think they rival the Appalachians for just crazy legends, lore, folklore, history. And this one has all the fun bits of any tale. And I don't want to steal too much more of this. I'm going to let you just tell us a little bit about what you're working on.
Okay, so I am working on a film that's based on a true story. Quotes, right?
True.
Yeah. True enough, as it's told around the people's campfire, right? But it's the legend of Tate's Hell. We've called the movie Tate. I have always been fascinated by this story. And honestly, I've wanted to make this film since about 2018. And it just finally got around to doing it. So what we were planning on was a 15 to 20 minute short film that was more or less a concept piece, right? We would shoot this with $0 and, see how it went from there. If you can make a good product with $0 and you give it to an investor, imagine what we could do, with a micro budget. I think movies that go and they spend like millions of dollars, they're very wasteful.
Yeah.
With their money. Now, don't get me wrong. If somebody gave me $10 million, I would find a way to spend it, but you don't have to. Don't have to do that, But anyways, this legend has just been there, and I finally was like, let's do this. You know what I mean? We've gotten good enough at our craft, and what really happened was we entered this 48-hour film festival last year, and me and my buddy Joey had never done anything like this. In a 48-hour film festival, you draw a genre out of a hat, and then you have 48 hours to write, film, edit, and complete, the film. So we did this, and we drew Stoner Tragedy. And so I was like, damn, I don't want to make a Cheech and Chong film. I ain't trying to make, nothing like that, nothing stupid. Even though I love Cheech and Chong, I wanted to make something spooky. I was hoping I would draw horror or something. But Stoner Tragedy can be any drug, right?
Yeah.
Any kind of thing. So we made a drug up. And the film was called Huff, and it was about two guys who made this drug. And when you do it, you go into the ether, I guess. You go into this completely blacked out world, and there was this entity played by my girlfriend, and it was very spooky, and she didn't say much, you know what I mean? But anyways, we won, right? We didn't think we would win, but we won. We won audience choice, okay? Nice. But the reaction from everybody was insane. Like, I had one guy telling me that film spoke to me, man, and I'm thinking, what in the world is going on here? But the reaction was overwhelming, right? And so we want to make a feature out of that, but I'm like, we need to kind of practice. We need to do something first with a larger crew. Let's see how we do, get our plan ironed out before we do this film, because the short film was so great. I'm like, shit, we got to make it a long version. I didn't think it was that good. Everybody else, though, just like eat it up. So that's why Tate came up. I was like, let's make a 15, 20-minute short, practice, then we can get down and shoot Huff, the long version. So then we did a casting call. Joey made a poster for Tate and did a casting call back in July. And I had like 140 people.
Wow.
Hit us up, right? Most of them no acting experience, but it was from the local community. Like, when everybody here in Wakulla County heard that there was a Tate film being made, everybody's like, oh my God, I got to see this, right? I want to be a part of this. And then from there, it just fell into place, right? The crew, I had a crew of like 25 people. Everybody volunteered to work for free. Joey was able to be the DP this time and not have to operate the camera, so that made it better. And everything, it was weird because, like, if you look throughout your life, if you've tried to do something and you almost have to force it, the product never really ends up being that good. Or maybe you don't finish it, whatever it is, because, and I think that's a way of the simulation, the gods or whatever, telling you don't need to waste your time here.
Yep.
This was the exact opposite. Everything fell into place, like every bit of it. There was no struggle with anything. We got to cast and get the best actors that we could get. everybody worked for free, which was amazing. The historical society here in town volunteered to let us use all these old props from the date. They gave us property, houses. I mean, we had the run of the mill. I had a guy hit me up. He didn't want to be in the film, but he's like, yo, I got a bunch of old guns and I'll make you machetes and this, that, and the other. And so it's just like everything fell into place. And then, so I was left with, hell, how am I going to feed 25 people? And then Shane Grove from the Shadows,
one of our favorite brother podcasts. So yeah,
he sent me money to feed everybody.
Oh wow!
You know, so like and even at that, even before we started filming, I didn't really expect much, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just really kind of super excited. This film looks so good. I was talking to Joey, and he's a pessimist. He's a Reddit troll, right? So he's like, bro, we've impressed me. I was like, okay.
Wow.
But it came out like this A24 type, just odd. It will be one of the strangest films you've ever seen. The music's odd. The story's great, like, because the historical society, the other thing they had was just like a treasure trove of documents. It's like, I can only imagine what Alex Jones's house would be like with all his documents, but you know, it was the same thing. Like, they just had everything. They're like, hey, let's pull up what the actual papers said about Tate.
Yeah.
So okay, you're doing this whole what is this story though? Like, I've never heard this story.
Okay, so well, I'm glad you asked it right now, because I was about to the original
into this, because otherwise, which lets me know that Erica did not read Freaky Florida, which is fine. So
no, why?
Tisk tisk.
I have to do panels with you. Why would I read any stories?
That's true.
Okay. So originally in Sumatra, Florida, down in Tate Cell, which isn't that far from here. It is like an hour drive, but you're just the next county over in the woods, right? So
yeah, there's no real easy roads there. It's the main thing. You're literally riding along the coast.
Yeah. But so there was a Tate, a family named Tate out there. They were sugarcane farmers. They harvested turpentine, things like that, lived off the land. What happened was they went through hard times. Okay. Mama died of the fever, whatever that is, but she died from the fever and they were destitute, right? Jedediah was raising Seb by himself. So he made a deal with a local medicine man, a shaman, more or less. And the shaman said, hey, your farm will prosper as long as you bring me one pig every winter. Okay. So they did that for 20 years and the farm was great. And then something happened. Paul decided to go back on his word and denied the shaman of the yearly pig. And when he did that, everything went bad. At this time, Seb had a mail order bride, a Jew from Germany. Go figure. But he had a Jewish mail order bride, because back then mail order brides in the South was a big deal because the gene pool was super shallow. You know, if you wanted to have kids, it's your cousin or your sister.
Yep.
You know, so he brought in her, and only thing they had left was swine. All they had was pork, and she didn't eat pork. Shortly before this, Paul had died as well. And so it was Seb's duty now to, you know, provide for him and his wife. And they were in a bad way, you know, everything, the sugarcane, he had nothing to barter with, and she wouldn't eat the pig. So he went out into the the sacred swamp, which was where they were not supposed to go. That was the other condition that the shaman said was, hey, you got to give me a pig and stay out of the dwarf cypress swamp. But at this point, I guess Seb figured, what the hell? And he went out into the swamp and was never found again. Right. So the original story was printed like 20 years after this happened. So this would have been right around the turn of the century. The original story just tells that he went into the woods and he never came out. And then since then, the legend has grown. So it's been like the telephone game, which is really cool if you're a filmmaker.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Sort of like Candyman.
Yeah. The story most people know now is that Seb went into the swamp. He, one story, there's like 5 stories, so I'll try to combine them all together. One story told that he ran into a creature, a red-eyed creature, became frightened and ran off. He left all his supplies. And so wandering lost in the swamp, he had to drink the swamp water and became delirious. At this point, he started hearing voices, seeing things, and he was bitten by a snake, right? And then in one of the stories, it talks about how he came across a woman who, helped him out of the swamp. But when he comes out of the swamp, he just so happens to come across 2 people. And he falls at their feet and tells them, I'm Seb Tate and I've been through hell. And then he dies. And so the state forest got named Tate's Hell from the legend. So basically, though, in reality, if that's the only thing he said when he came out of the swamp, we don't know what happened to him.
Exactly. And they tell this story differently depending on which town along the forest you're in. Like Carabel talks about how he came out and that he stayed in Carabel Hotel for a week before he died, and that's where he told all his stories. And then there's another version of it way back up in Apalachicola where that's where he went missing and he was on a boat for some reason. It's like, what? Where did that come from? And it all just depends on the area that you hear this story. It's very, very cool. I am so excited that you're doing this.
So what we did is we kind of combined a lot of local legends into this. Okay. So in this film, he does come across the red-eyed creature. If anybody knows me, it is a Bigfoot. Okay.
What are you, Bigfoot Stacy Brown? Wait a minute.
Yeah, right.
I've been fooled.
And then we kind of included, in a cool way, we included the lady from Bellamy Bridge.
Nice.
I don't want to give too much of it away, but she's the lady that helps him out of the swamp, and he has been carving her since he was a child unknowingly.
Twist on this.
Yeah. And his mama always tells him that whittle will save his life one day, or is going to save him one day. So that's the Bellamy Bridge thing kind of came in. Unfortunately, we couldn't do her on fire. If we get funding for the big one, the lady at the end will be on fire.
When you remake it. Yes.
Yeah. And he does run into the shaman. So unfortunately, we couldn't get a sugarcane farm, right? We couldn't get no shots of sugarcane. So they're just turpentine farmers.
Right. That was common in the area.
How do you farm turpentine?
That's where you put the little stick in the tree and.
Well, so what they did back here was they would carve the front of the pine tree off. Okay, they'd strip it of all the bark, and then they put these little like metal things, and there'd be a pan at the bottom, and the sap would drop down into it. We were wondering, how are we going to do this? Because I don't like destroying trees.
No.
At all. If I've got to do it, I really feel bad. It's like when I go hunting. I don't like doing it, but I love certain game, right? So you have to. So I was like, how are we going to get these cat faces? Because that's what they called it, a cat face. How are we going to do it? Turns out the dude at the Historical Society had like 5 cat faces. that the whole
Already
tree,
done.
yeah, the whole tree had rotted around it, but just left that part with the original tins and stuff on it. So we drilled them into a pine tree and were able to use those. They looked dried up, they looked depleted. So, like I said, everything fell into place. So, anyways, he runs into the shaman in the woods. The shaman who, like, when you see the mask, I don't know if you've seen it. My girlfriend made this mask. It is amazing. Like, it is the coolest thing. It's like this hide, right? Animal hide. And then the face, she like stitched together. There's a hog jaw like attached to the outside of it. And there's these feathers coming off. It looks really, really creepy. We did that, and he runs into the shaman, makes the deal. Little Seb sees it. And then after Paul dies, little Seb is now grown up, and he's like, I'm going to go back out there and find the shaman. Yeah. He doesn't tell Greta this. Greta thinks that he's trying to find him a scrub cow. Because like back then, you would have cows that just lived in the marsh and stuff. They just roamed. So he was going to hunt one of them. Anyways, basically, he's trying to go out there and make the deal with the shaman again that his dad made. But the trials and tribulations he has to go through, to get there were quite cool. One cool part we added in and then had to change at the last second. Do you know about the rattlesnake congregations?
Some, yeah, like the Blackwater Clan and a few other things like that. Yeah, Blackwater Clan, for listeners at home, Blackwater River goes through Florida, and they had a primitive church somewhere out there that were, snake worshipers. They basically, you snake handlers. They do the revivals. They'd hold a rattlesnake, and if they were holy, it didn't bite them, or if it did bite them, they'd be immune because God saved them and all this. But they were very, like you said, shallow gene pool, very inbred, very scary. Mm-hmm. And at one famous point, they come out, and I think it's around Apalachicola, where one of them came into town and just starts getting drunk at a bar, and the police arrested him for drunk and disorderly and just were going to keep him in the drunk tank overnight. But the Blackwater Clan gets so upset that one of theirs has been taken that they all start showing up in town, a group of them. Dozens of them, some say hundreds, showed up, and they're all misshapen and malformed and all this. So the police freak out and let the guy go because they're so terrified of this hillbilly Blackwater Clan. One of the great bits of Florida history.
Yeah. Well, we included them.
Yay!
Okay. So upon his delirium, Seb is going in and out of consciousness throughout this film, right? And he comes across this preacher who is basically a ferryman who leads him through the swamp. Very odd guy. He leads him up to a certain spot in the woods after they get off his boat and blows the torch out. And he says, what is the line? He says, it was really good. I was super proud of it. I'm super proud of a couple of these lines because I would be like talking to my girlfriend on the way home from work, and I was like, what can we say there? And then it's come to me, and we're like, oh my God, that's so great. But he said to him, what is it? I was just editing it last night. Hell, something to find out you must be without, or something like that. And he blows out to see the truth, you must be without, or something. Anyways, he blows the thing out, and it's now dark. And all these torches start coming around Seb, and he's like, what's going on? What's going on? And then he turns his head, and now there's this congregation of people in his face, right? And they're all odd, super weird. It was weird because I had a snake guy hit me up in that casting call and was like, yo, I'll let you use all my snakes if you want to use them. And the only problem was the actors were a little off about the snakes. They're like, I really got asked, do they bite? And I'm like, they're snakes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, they do. Now, will they make you sick? That's the question. Yeah.
It's like, he's going to feed them, but he's not going to feed the one because we wanted it to strike at the lens. But the guy ends up like day of blowing us off.
Oh,
So I had to rewrite on the spot, and the congregation became cannibals. But this guy,
that was a theory too.
yeah, this guy that did the rattlesnake congregation thing here, he ended up dying in Alpha from a snake bite. Go figure. That's ended up what got him.
Yep.
But like I said, we wanted to include all the local legends and stuff like that. So it was really
Fantastic.
really neat to get them in there. It makes the film weird. But the congregation is waiting for this preacher to come back. Seb's like, I just saw the preacher. He's how I got here, because they're all wondering, how'd you find us? You know? And then it all kind of melds back in. I had a guy who looked like Willem Dafoe, eerily similar, to play like the deacon. And he had a family tragedy and had to bail out. Prayers to his family. It was terrible. But anyhow, I ended up playing the deacon. Yeah. And it was such a fun scene. I told everybody when we filmed it, I was like, this is either going to make or break the film. And then everybody's like, this is going to make the film. And then we did it, and it was amazing. But yeah, the film itself, I guess at this point looks like it's going to be probably about 35 to 40 minutes. So this little 15 to 20 minute film we thought we were making is blown up into something else. We shot it in 5 days with a budget of $300.
Wow.
So, and I tell you, it is the best thing I've ever done.
Right.
Like, we spent over $100,000 making the pit, and it was absolutely terrible. But
I like the pit.
Well, so the pit, we filmed a bunch of stuff, and then I was like, yo, there's too many plot holes here in the beginning. We need to start out in the cave. If somebody gives you $100,000, they want the film to be because they're all of a sudden movie makers and, aficionados, and they had to tell you which way to do things. But this one, for $300, bro, 10 times better. The story's solid. The shots look so good. Like, we actually took the time to do it all correctly. And I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to let everybody see it, because it's I'm super proud of this so far.
I'm so excited that you're throwing in all these other fun legends in that area, because Tate tells an amazing story on its own, but throwing in those others, boom, next level stuff, man. Next level stuff. We've got to take a quick break, right, Erica?
Yes, we do.
Prepare to be devoured. The Wolves of Wharton is a 6-part complete book series by Eerie Travels producer Bo Lake. It has been called dark and visceral, steamy, dramatic, and a fresh take on the werewolf mythos. If you like action, adventure, a large serving of body horror, and some steamy relations, the Wolves of Wharton series is for you. Pick it up wherever books are sold, or at linktree.com/Bo__Lake.
And we're back.
Now, I happened to be watching our good friend Connor Flynn's short film, Huggin' Molly, which just released on YouTube. We'll put the link in the show notes. And I was blown away when suddenly this bartender shows up out of nowhere, and I recognize that guy. So you playing the preacher in this is not going to be not your acting debut. You've mentioned the pit. You've mentioned a couple other things. So how did that happen? How did you wind up with Connor, besides the fact that you guys are both Bigfoot aficionados?
So Connor, I met him years ago, and Connor's super high energy, right?
Oh, man. It's a ferret on a double espresso.
Yeah. But he comes to me, and he gives me his book, and he signs it, and I think he's blowing smoke up my tail, right? Like, because he's so, like, when I first meet Connor, he's so appreciative of me. And I'm just a dude, bro. You know what I mean? I just so happen to Bigfoot. I still don't understand why people really want to talk to me. It's kind of weird. But anyways, Connor's like, bro, you've paved the way for me and all these other skunk ape researchers. I'm like, bro, calm down, dog. You know? But, you know, we get to hanging out. Connor knows a lot of stuff. I love he's basically another Mark Muncy, right? When it comes to the Florida, right? Because he knows all the legends, and Connor's ready to go, dude. Connor's about that life. And anyways, we became friends over the years, and Connor, he was in Journey to Belief. I interviewed him for that. And Hugging Molly, he called me one day. He's like, hey, can we film at your house? Because you'll see, I'd say probably about 25% of that film was shot on my property.
Oh, wow.
The wood scenes and stuff. The bar we're in, that's at my tiki bar. I have a pretty big tiki bar out beside my pool. And it's got a full bar and stuff in there. And
you've never invited me. Fine.
Bro, I'm trying to get everything
invited to the tiki bar. What? Twilight watch party.
This summer for sure. But we have to, they're filming this stuff, and he comes up to me. He's like, hey, can you be the bartender? And I'm like, okay, I'll be in your film. So I went and put on a shirt and got a rag and a couple glasses and walked out there, and they filmed the scene where they're playing pool. That was in my game room. And so, yeah, it was really neat, man. But they filmed here all day and all night. Like the shed that the one guy lives in Hugging Molly, that's my shed, which I've since repaired the roof and pressure washed it and built a deck. It looks nice now. But yeah, a lot of it was shot here, and it was a good time for them, but I didn't know what was going on. I would just check in on them. Like after I filmed, I come back inside and was like doing my stuff, doing whatever I was doing. And then I think I was actually editing Journey to Belief then. And I would come out and be like, y'all need anything? Y'all want anything? And you would just hear screams out in the woods, and I'm like, I hope the law don't get called up here.
The wonderful world of non-zoning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Like when we filmed The Pit, that scene where Les is cutting my leg or my foot off, the cops came up here, and my dad told him, hey, they're filming a movie back, because I'm back there yelling help.
Yeah.
And so the neighbors are just, and like in The Pit, it's this like half cave, right? So it's basically like it's half of a cave. So it's kind of like an amphitheater, almost how it's like, the sound just goes that way, right? It just shoots it out, almost like a speaker cone, right? And boy, the law come up here. My dad stopped me at the gates. Like, hey, they all good, bud. They just back there filming, So
I love that. And what I think is funny is there's going to be a point your neighbors, when sounds come, are not going to come running. And I want to see that documentary where they're like, well, thought they were filming a movie.
We shot one the other night. We did the 48 again. We had to defend our title, but this time it was a trailer. We had to make a trailer, so it was post-apocalyptic. By the time this airs, I'll know if we won or not, but Connor was in that one as well, and there was screaming at around 1:00 in the morning going on then. Nobody called the law, so I think they're all good to it now,
Yeah. Well, if it was Connor screaming, then it'd be like, good riddance.
Yeah, right. Hey, get this. Connor is so into it. Like I had been in Connor's. Connor did the 48 a few years ago and won with the trailer for Tate's Hell. Right? Yeah.
He made his own take.
I was in that one.
Yeah.
I was the guy that found him. But Connor, he's like a method actor.
Yeah.
Once Connor gets into it, punch him, do whatever. He's selling for the piece. Well, I got this brand new cot sitting out in like this makeshift shelter out in the woods, and it was for the last bite, that trailer we made that this guy lived in. It's like a tarp and everything. Well, Connor's character sneaks up to stab the character and kill him, but it's just a backpack inside of a sleeping bag. And Connor's got a real knife. This fool goes in and stabs my sleeping bag and through my cot. He's like, wow. And
Oh,
to do like 4 takes. And after the second take, he goes, I stabbed through the cot that time. He's all excited about it. I was like, why the hell did you do that? Like, what is wrong with you? He's like, oh, well, I don't know if there's a way I can do it without it. I think there is, but you can figure that out.
It's called acting, Connor. It's called acting.
It was so fun, though.
John Lithgow, method actor.
That's
You
true. That's true. Yeah. But oh my gosh, I can't wait. So, but no, Hugging Molly was great. Now we've talked about all movies and all that. Let's go back to Journey to Belief. You guys uncovered a lot of amazing stuff doing that, and you opened a couple doors there that probably the state would rather not be opened up. Has there been any progress on trying to do the Freedom of Information Act for the reports?
We did it again, a different person. We had another friend of ours do it. Same thing happened. Same with me. Yeah. They close it down, shut it up, and they don't want to talk about it, which is against the law in Florida. So we're in the process of raising the money to get the emails. The emails are $12,000. We want those, but that's not the big deal. We found a lawyer that will take the case, and we're just in the process of raising money. You got to figure this. I don't know if it's conspiracy or what. You could take from this what you will, but I will tell you what's really happened. Our film's still not up on Amazon, which I think that was more of a technical issue. Hopefully by the time this airs, it's out. I doubt it, but maybe. But like, dude, we're the most censored film. Like, you couldn't go to our website. If you posted our website on social media, it all gets blocked down. And this, you appeal it, nothing. Appeal it, nothing. You hear nothing from nobody. And it's like, why? Is it because of because what we found, or is it just, it landed in some algorithm that they think the site is like, I don't know. I don't know what they could think. The journeytobelief.com. I'm not sure why that was a bad. We could not post the website on anything. We had to start putting the website in the pictures.
Yeah.
But you can't get traffic from that. The traffic goes way down.
You click it. We had you on our friend John Gaston's show, Nerd Talk, and we did the whole episode, and that episode got pulled from their YouTube, which was for no reason. And
like,
figured out it got copyright struck, and I was like, why? There's no music, no nothing. It was of all their episodes, that's the one. So for those of you listening at home and haven't been following this, Bigfoot Journey to Belief, you guys were trying to get one of your own who was a non-believer, a skeptic, and we're interviewing people and basically go through a journey with him, trying to get him to believe. And one of the big things is Florida has sunshine laws, so you can reach out, Freedom of Information, and say, hey, I'd like to know about any Bigfoot reports in the state parks, in the national parks, in whatever. And national parks will shut you down because the national parks always shut you down. But in Florida, state parks should, because of the sunshine law, have to have all that. But they said, we never got one. We don't have a single report anywhere. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know people who've reported to state parks and all that. Why are the park rangers not reporting it or this? So you had like an incident where a guy dressed in a Bigfoot costume does the thing, and you have pictures of him with the ranger.
Oh yeah, this was actually a report that they posted. That's how I found out about that one.
Right. Yeah. And they posted an incident with the guy where they caught the guy in the Bigfoot costume, and you'd think there'd be a report of that. But that's not there either. It's
No.
all gone. There are literally no reports, according to State Wildlife Commission. So why? And then that's when we start doing Freedom of Information Act. Guys like me, guys like, your friends and all that. We are all trying to figure out, well, if there's got to be something somewhere in the
Right.
hundreds of years, even
Yeah.
if they just said incident reported and nothing investigated. That's what 90% of them will say, nothing found and all that. But there's not even a report. The reports are wiped clean. What is that?
Yeah, and well, the lawyer that we pulled, he used to work for FWC. He was one of their lawyers. So I don't know if it's a good thing that he's on our side or not. But
self-sabotage here. Oh.
Yeah. But what he told me, he goes, they're most likely not calling it Bigfoot.
Right.
He said, we have to figure out what it is that they're calling it. And he said, I'll figure
skunk ape. They're not calling it that. They're calling it some code word.
Yeah. And he said, that's probably going to uncover everything. He goes, however, we'll make the news, we'll put pressure on them. He gave me the whole speech about how you have to be ready. Because FWC doesn't have a real good reputation in our state. They're more or less the Gestapo.
Look at them killing pets, people's snakes, pets, people's, for no reason, and,
people go missing, and there's a lot of, it's an agency that you don't want to mess with. It's got the reputation of that. However, I don't really care. I'm gonna make it so loud that it would be obvious, He was just like, you got to be ready for the battle, dude. And so we're ready for that. We just gotta raise the money, because there's another one we haven't brought up. We're gonna hit them up after we do the court filing on it, just to add fuel. But there was a lady, and I know you'll probably remember this, Mark, but she was around Eglin Air Force Base, and she was walking, and she was attacked by a reddish brown animal that they immediately ruled out being a bear or a dog.
Yeah.
And they did a DNA, and that was all in the news. But you never heard what the DNA came back as.
Inconclusive. That was all we got.
Yeah.
And
I can't even find that now.
All it says is non-human on the report, but even that report is redacted. Lots of stuff because it says, because it's military base, redacted. Yeah.
So we're going to dive into that one as well, because the guy Tyler Howell in the first episode of Journey to Belief, he filmed a Bigfoot out on Eglin Air Force Base.
Yeah.
And so it kind of ties into his story as well. So we've got our ducks in a row on this. Les Stroud has agreed to put out, we've edited the 4-part series into a 20-part web series for his channel. And he has I think 750,000 subscribers or something. Yeah. Pretty big platform. So we're going to air one episode, 12-minute episodes, for about 5 months. And then hopefully that should, once we get it on Amazon, we should start getting the funds in where we can, get this thing going, because trust me, I love going out in the woods more than anybody, but you're not going to run into a Bigfoot unless it wants you to. The chances of you sneaking up and catching this thing off guard are remote, bro. And I think, like I said last time, dude, if Stacy Brown goes to bed at night and knows Bigfoot is real, the federal government knows.
Yeah. And it's the whole UFO, UAP. Oh, all we had to do was, UAP. And then suddenly there's a million documents. And, and that's exactly, we just got to figure out what their code word is for it. Like you said, it's just, there's something indigenous, something, who knows, unknown species. There'll be a code, there'll be something for it. And we'll get there. Well,
somebody knows it. So I'm just going to throw that out there, travelers. Somebody knows what that code is. So.
Even we love that the national parks are being kind of cheeky with their advertising recently, and their Twitters and all that. They're doing all these fun, things where they're posting their worst reviews and all that, but they've been having fun with it. And one of them I know did a whole bit where he was talking about he was going to blow the lid off of all the secrets of Yellowstone, and he was talking about all the histories of Yellowstone and all this. And then one of the questions pops up, what about Bigfoot? And he comes out and he says, well, I'm going to blow the lid off because that's what I do. And then it goes, and it shuts off. And that was the end of his channel. I was like, oh my gosh, they literally ended it on that. And I'm like, okay, they're teasing us in broad daylight now because they know they can do that. There's going to be something at some point. Disclosure is coming. We're just not there yet.
I fail to buy into the whole UAP thing now. Like, I hope for the best. I wish my dad was alive to see all this. You know, he was such a big UFO nut, but I just have a problem believing him. Like, you guys keep lying. You lied to us and told us we were all crazy for 60 or 70 years, but now you're going to tell us? Like, why? Why are you going to tell us now?
Well, me and Mark have a theory on that.
Yeah, we have a theory that something big is coming that they can't hide, so they can say, well, we tried to tell you for 30 years, and we've had these hearings, but you guys just wouldn't listen. So I think it's coming. So we'll see.
Well, I'm excited because, like, I don't think Bigfoot is a primate, you know, and some of my friends, like Cliff Barackman, we'll go back and forth on this stuff, but he's in the camp that Bigfoot is a primate, and I just don't understand. There's so many things about Bigfoot that make it not a primate.
Even moneymakers starting to post some things on BFRO and stuff that aren't 100%. You know, he's talking about some of the unusual phenomena like the green flash and some other things. And, you know, that was stuff you couldn't talk about that 5 years ago, 3 years ago. You weren't allowed to talk about this stuff because of Finding Bigfoot and shows like that. It's a monkey. It's an ape. It's a, you know, you can't say anything about the woo or the high strangeness. And now we're starting to go, okay, maybe there's something we can start talking about. But it's still a long way to go.
I think when the UAP stuff, if they ever do come out with like a full disclosure, I think we may end up finding that they may be an alien race themselves.
Or interdimensional,
something like that. I think maybe it all is interdimensional. I'm getting closer and closer to that Connor Flynn flat Earth belief. Like,
Connor's gonna have to come on and do a rebuttal to all of this with.
Like, hey, I'm serious. Like, if you think about it, they talk about we have a dome or a firmament. I think the Van Allen radiation belt may be what they're talking about.
And
we can't go through it. I don't believe we went to the moon at all. Did you realize that the broadcast was actually CBS filming the wall and NASA was projecting the footage onto a wall because they apparently couldn't get the satellite feed to the stations, but they could get it to NASA, and the NASA broadcasted onto the wall, and CBS filmed the wall, and that's what got given to everybody. Yeah,
that is
whatever. It's like the whole thumb trick where you show the thumb, and it's like, you know, you're just removing it.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Exactly, but oh my gosh. Well,
wow, you just went down a Muncie bunny trail. Like, I don't even know how you did that, Stacy. But
that's a Stacy trail, man.
I'll ramble.
That's good. All right. So when I know you're in the editing process, and we've seen some of your posts and stuff. When are we kind of the release window for Tate?
Okay, so we're probably going to start having screenings. I would want to say we're in the mid-January to mid-February range on that, right? I've never made the music to a film, and we're doing a lot of the music to a film. I think Shane's going to contribute 1 or 2 songs to us. But outside of that, we should be ready to go come, you know, mid-January to mid-February. We'll start having some screenings. And then eventually it will make its way onto YouTube. Of course, I'm going to send you a copy as soon as I'm done with it, you know, so we can get some reviews. We can throw them in the trailer. But yeah, you know, probably February. at the latest mid-February. I'm trying to get it done earlier because I got a lot of stuff going on in the new year. Anybody that's in Alabama, I will be at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference in Smith Station. It's like a town hall. I was there last year. They weren't expecting that many people. I think they had like 200 something people show up in this room that held like 50 people.
Nice.
So yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So I'll be there. And then Les Stroud's got a new film out that he's making. And I'm set to film with him sometime around January, February as well. And then we'll be dropping. Oh, by the way, if any of y'all listeners want to go to his Kickstarter for that, he's got a bunch of cool prizes on there. If you are well enough off to pay for the Bigfoot expedition with Les Stroud, word on the street is I will be helping him out with that in Ontario. So I think it's $10,000 a ticket, but he sold 3 of them already, and there's 2 spots left. So if y'all got the money, I promise you, Stacy Brown cooks a mean campfire dinner. So y'all come out and enjoy it, you know.
Looking forward to that. Oh my God.
We'll throw it in the notes.
Yeah, but outside of that, man, I think Journey to Belief is going to be my send-off for documentaries. Tate's been so much fun making, and I'm so proud of it. And then another thing about it is like the Bigfoot community, the ghost community, UFO community, they're all very toxic places.
In a lot of ways. Sadly.
Yeah, and what am I spinning my wheels for at the end of the day? Like JTB, Journey to Belief will continue. We're going to do a season 2 and all that, but I don't think I'll do another documentary because A, the market's saturated, right? And then B, you're trying to please people that you'll never please. There's, you know, so why not make a film, tell stories? That's ultimately what I love to do. Like, oh, also next year, Big Ben Paranormal will be, or Big Ben Ghost Tours will be opening. So I will be once a month doing like ghost investigations in the Waukesha County, Leon County area. And then hopefully around mid-year, I'll have the actual tour part going in Tallahassee. I'm getting an 8-seater golf cart. I've got a tour picked out. We'll go by Ted Bundy, where he lived, where he did his thing at the witch's grave. I've got an hour-long route. So nice. I want to tell the history to the spooky history to Tallahassee. There's like a walking ghost tour, but that's it.
Yeah. No, Tallahassee ignores it. I don't know. It's like they pretend it doesn't exist. Pretend it doesn't exist. Yeah.
I don't understand. They have so many great stories, and ultimately, that's what I want to do. I want to tell stories.
I don't think a lot of people want to be known as where Ted Bundy did what he did. So,
well, I mean, one of my favorite graves in that graveyard. I know everybody talks about the witch. One of my favorite graves is Napoleon's nephew. He's the guy who supposedly shot the Snallygaster with a cannon. And it bounced off. And because of that, Teddy Roosevelt decided he was going to postpone a diplomatic trip to hunt the Snallygaster. I mean, come on. That guy's buried there. That's amazing. So
yeah, you got Prince Murat, who is buried up there. He haunts that cemetery. The funny thing is people will see his ghost in the cemetery and not think anything about it.
Yep.
It's like it's some weirdo out in the cemetery dressed up like it's fucking 1700s. You know,
it's crazy. So, all right. Well, that stuff we're also working on because we're actually working on another book after our Dark Side of the Smokies. We're working on one that's hidden the Gulf Coast, and so we'll be
the dark depths of the Gulf Coast.
So we'll be talking with you a little bit about that too. So we'll definitely reach out. So again, where can they find you, Stacy? Where can people find your stuff?
So Bigfoot Stacy on YouTube or on any social media. You can go to our website for the Journey to Belief. It's bigfootjtb.com. We had to change the handle. That handle doesn't get blocked, but thejourneytobelief.com gets blocked. I don't know why. They haven't caught on yet, I think. But anyways, yeah, that's about it, man. And, you know, exciting stuff coming down the pipe. So we're super excited to get all this stuff out.
Well, when you're ready to make that sparkly vampire movie, Stacy, reach out. I'll be one of your leading ladies.
I will be making a vampire movie, but they will not be sparkly.
You gotta just let me walk through one scene. Just one scene, totally sparkly. Oh,
all right. Well,
favorite movie. So
Erica,
Mark, take us away.
all right. Well, travelers, thank you so much for joining us as always. Thank you, Stacy, for coming on. Oh my gosh, Stacy Brown, awesome. Always a great time. And looking forward to working with you many more times to come. And for travelers, please follow those links in the show notes. Go out there, support these projects, support these things. We want to see more. We want more of this. We want it all. And we, hopefully we can get some disclosure. Hopefully we can get some stuff like that. And with all that said, when you're out traveling, when you're out looking for strange and unusual things, keep your eyes open. Keep those cameras rolling if you can. Report. If you had something weird happen, please report it. And as always, keep your eyes open for the skunk ape. And then if you do go through hell, make sure you tell somebody at the end. So they might name a state forest after you. And we'll see you on the other side.